So we'll get started with map number 1, Clubhouse, the most played map for the Soniqs over the last 3 months. And for Empire, it's a pretty strong map too, but they haven't played it in quite a while.
Of course, Clubhouse and the next map will be Oregon. Both are very familiar maps to both of these teams. We see the Hibana ban coming out straight out the gates from Soniqs. This is going to speak to the strength of the basement bomb site now. With Hibana being gone, basement will not be favored more. Whereas we'll see if Maverick or Thatcher gets banned next. That should be the expected outcome. It's the Thatcher. This means that Maverick will be left open. This, of course, makes CCTV and Doom defense a little bit more difficult, as Maverick will just blow through those walls, make them soft, and then they will be opened right up. So I wouldn't be very surprised to see a defensive side first round from both Soniqs and Empire. But we will see to that in just a second. Second defender ban coming out. It is the Valkyrie. That is the information game off the board. Very basic stuff so far. And then, of course, the last answer from Soniqs. We can talk about the Mirror. We can talk about the Maestro. Or perhaps they got something up their sleeve. It will be the Mirror.
Unsurprising. Out of all the operators banned, Hibana, Thatcher, and Mira tend to be dominant bans on a map like Clubhouse, and the Soniqs in particular love their Hibana and Mira bans. These, if you go back and you look at the way that they play Clubhouse, these are their bread and butter. A lot of teams like to remove that Thatcher, and with Hibana being off the board, it means that teams are going to run a Maverick an awful lot. Unsurprisingly, Shepard locks in the Maverick right away, and you're going to see 2 hard breachers brought out. In talking to Empire, Ace is a very favorable operator for them. They believe that his gun is the strongest of all of the 4 hard breachers.
I believe it
or not, for Empire, that matters a great deal.
Yeah, I mean, the analysts kind of spoke about it, where Empire, they have this sort of problem when they play in the EUL, where they play for relatively high ping being from Russia, and they really favor that low ping LAN environment, and that's where they are right now. So you get low ping, you get great connection, and then you get a great gun on top of that. It's going to be a lethal Team Empire that we're going to be seeing at this Invitationals.
Very first defense of the very first map here on our very first day. Yes, is indeed the basement. Will be down in Church and in Arsenal, or Armory, depending on what teams want to call it. I always find it interesting the variations that people use to describe it, and all the different callouts that come about. Key things to watch for these 2 teams, Nick. For the Soniqs, it's going to be consistency among this team. Whether you believe in the man or not, Super is a formidable IGL, but his contributions almost never come on the scoreboard. Whereas Empire tends to be a team that is far more evenly spread. Every single player this year has been phenomenal, at least trading even every single round. Almost can be said the same for Soniqs, but Yeti and Super do tend to take a step back and allow, you know, Grixer, Kansan, and Rexen to flourish.
Yeah, and it's a great map for Soniqs and Super in particular to start off on, because if you can get that brain juice flowing, that's gonna transition well into the next following maps. And as you said, Super might not have the most impact individually in the scoreboard, but Clubhouse is a map that heavily flavors strategy. So if Super can just do his IGLing and his leadership on this map, then the rest of his gunners should be able to just do the gunning, and then they're happy. Now, it is a basement defense. They are roaming quite heavily up on the top floor. I like this from Soniqs. They don't want to make Team Empire's job too easy, and they start at basement, which makes perfect sense given the Hibana ban that Soniqs themselves brought out, so they clearly have a strong game plan going into this map.
A minute off the clock right now, and the lineup that Soniqs brought also isn't your typical roam-heavy setup. You know, you're used to having a Mute, possibly a Castle, Vigil, a Mozzie on the board, a Melusi, if you so please. Even a Legion can factor into the strategy. But as you see for the Soniqs, they're running the Mute for information denial, and they're allowing a player like Rexen to take up all that space above. The roam lasts about a minute and a half, and already Rexen is heading back to the bomb site. So he's killed some time. He's still got utility persisting up top. This might slow down Empire as we now hit the halfway point.
Grixer hiding inside a stock with that hatch being open. It does seem like Shepard saw his leg there. I'm fairly competent. He drones back, so this kind of signifies the yellow ping comes out. Grixer doesn't know that this is happening, remember, so Dan will now have the opportunity to get a freebie. He's getting help from both Joystick and a 3rd member of Team Empire. They want to make sure this kill is free for them.
A nade primed and ready. They don't want to take anything at all, but it's Scyther. It's a triple player execute. And then a C4 tossed up from Kansan will take out Joystick. So Joystick was trying his best with that nade primed and ready. No Yana for the final minute means a lack of information. The 2 drones from Joystick are gone, but also you're not going to see those Geminis be able to scout out the bottom of this map.
Yeah, Joystick did toss out 1 grenade, so he actually only lost 1 in theory. You still have 2 on Shepard. That's kind of the strength of Maverick. You get a Heartbeat, you get a great gun, and you get the grenade nades to go with it. So not too much loss from the side of Empire, but the thing is, they don't have a lot of time here. They need to act quickly, and they need to know exactly how they want to approach this. But with Hibana off the board, they can't breach that many walls or hatches.
Additionally, the lineup that we see from Empire, Nick, 30 seconds to go, smokeless. There's no way to obscure the drop. If their focus is going to be to drop the kitchen hatch, they're going to be doing so without any cover at all. But instead, Empire's in. By the way, Shepard is dropped. Nobody saw this, and Shepard is already in the bomb site, and he's got that diffuser down quite easily. Super swings up and takes him down with 10 seconds left. They trade out, and it's an absolute frenzy. Always charging his way down the stairs. Not very much time left, as it's him against the world, and he won't be able to get there in time. The Soniqs hold steady and take the very first round.
Super with a statement. We said, you know what, Super might not have the most impact as an individual, but as a leader he does. Very first round, denies the plant at the very last few seconds that was gonna come down from Team Empire, and if that plant had gotten down, they would just sit up above and it would almost be a guaranteed round for them. So Super shutting it down, making sure that they will be in a great position going forward, and of course, the players from Soniqs, they found basically a kill each.
Now, one thing to note for you that we want to talk about, you might have seen a post that was made by Ubisoft or by ESL yesterday about teams currently in COVID protocols. You might have noticed that for Empire, there are only 3 of them currently on the stage. Both Shepard and Always are currently playing from their bedrooms due to COVID protocol and isolation being a requirement of that. You can talk to any of the teams that have had players sit out, and not having your entire bench full can be quite tough. So especially somebody like Shepard, who is going to be so vocal on this team, and he's going to be doing a lot of the hard work. So I don't know if that's really going to change anything, but playing against some of these teams and allowing them to have their full teams present, that might put you at a bit of a disadvantage. Also an update, I saw both Secretly and Doki were available today for Na'Vi, so they have been cleared, as has Hopes from OXG. So we'll be updating you as we get more information moving forward.
Yeah, the vibes are of course very important at this event, or any event in general, and not having a player there, or maybe 2 players missing, it's important to just make sure that that doesn't affect you too much. Like, sure, you can talk about the elephant in the room, but ultimately this should not hinder you from performing or doing your craft.
Absolutely. Second defense now, and we are very much into the round. That prep phase just flew by, and there's a Gemini that's going to scoot on by. Rexen following up with it. Did he get spotted? Is that the real Yana? No, it appears to be a clone, and it will run out for Joystick. A gym bedroom defense, by the way. Not usually the secondary bomb site here on Clubhouse. Teams often prefer CCTV cache. Not the case for the Soniqs. They choose to go upstairs, and they do a side setup towards cache and CCTV. You can see some of the wall reinforced, but it'll be very easily bucked open by Dan.
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense with the Maverick being open. I personally wouldn't go CCTV either until the very last bomb site. I think if you've done a lot of prep work for Clubhouse, you might even go bar third before actually going to CCTV, unless you're that comfortable in it. So I like the decision making here from Soniqs. They haven't really successfully denied this wall. They have both impacts, they have a Kaid, so I'm a little bit curious as to how this happened, especially with that Thatcher being banned. But Soniqs extended to CCTV. Now Rexen will be stuck inside of this room. Nate from below with Joystick doesn't really find the kill nor any damage, but this is not going to be a pretty situation for Rexen. He should be dying quite soon. Yeah.
And there you go. Just as you called it, gets naded out. Very similar time to what we saw from the nade onto Grixer in the previous round, playing down in stock. And a nade was primed and ready for him, but it ended up being Scyther credited with that kill. Very quickly after, Empire lost one of their members to Soniqs, but there is no refrag this time. So the opening pick goes for Empire, and they'll add to it as well. Kansan taken out. These are the roamers being cleared off. What you tend to find with Gym Master is that they can very quickly close in on you, and that's exactly what's happening. Yeti removed from the equation too, leaving Super and Grixer in a 2v5. Not exactly where you want to be, with 1 minute still left to play for Empire, who have full utility.
No, it's not. And that's Cypher on that AK-12, but Empire not really slowing down just yet. They have the man advantages, and they know it. They want to utilize it, taking those many gunfights. Joystick finds Super, leaving just Grixer in a 1 versus 5, but with 2 injured players from Empire.
Absolutely. Technically a flawless round, by the way, because the 2 players from Empire who were on the ground never got finished off. So there you go. Empire are able to bounce back on that Gym Master take. This is a bomb site, like you said. Because of the Maverick being open, you don't necessarily want to go to cache CCTV. It seems quite sensible, but the big problem is that Gym Master, if teams are not the most proficient at it, it's very easy to pick off the roamers and encircle the rest of the bomb site. Once you have control of that jacuzzi wall, once you have control of construction, there aren't a lot of places for you to go, and especially if you're at a disadvantage in numbers, you get boxed in, and there's enough utility on the attacker side of things, it's going to make your life miserable as a defender.
It certainly is. I mean, it always comes down to gunfights, but even more so when you can just torch through every single wall in front of you. I do think Soniqs could have done a little bit of a better job denying the wall breaches. It is the Selma charges from the Ace that ended up doing most of that destruction. When you have the Kaid on the board, you could play the Mute, which they didn't the previous round, and they had 2 impacts. I feel like they could have done much more than they actually did. And of course, for next time, they will have to show us that they've learned from that mistake.
So, you said that you would go to Barstock over this bomb site.
I would.
They didn't hear you, by the way.
They didn't hear me, but
they're not listening to you.
It's the first map. I don't expect crazy things to.
I actually just got a text message from them, and they said they don't care what you think.
Yeah. Parker, listen,
Super actually he rang me up right now. I got a phone call, and Super said, yeah, tell Penguin we don't care.
We all know that players are not allowed phones on this stage, Parker. Would you please not say this on stream because it gives a bad message. But a good sir. Opening kill. Now in favor of Soniqs for the first time this match so far on this 3rd round of CCTV defense.
Very first opening pick, as you pointed out, by the Soniqs, and they are going to be able to hold this for quite a while. Round 1, Empire gets that first pick. It's traded immediately. No real major advantage. Second round, it ends up being flawless for Empire, so obviously the Soniqs are not able to find that scoreboard at all. But they're going to have to deal with this Swiss cheese setup, and they'll open up the wall preemptively.
Yeah.
This means that by opening it up when they Maverick trick it, as we like to call it, it'll cut through the reinforcement, the sheet metal will fall away.
The default camera.
And it will allow them to walk right in. And you're absolutely right. This is extreme negligence from Empire. These are major champions, by the way. This Empire squad, they won the very first Raleigh major. They won the second major that we ever saw. And they have left a default cam up that is currently being played off. And if you look in the top left of your screen, it's still up right now. So
it's just a matter of time now, cat and mouse. The second he looks away, then the run-out should be coming from Rex, and he gets the kill, does fall back, doesn't greet for the second. Now that's both Harpies off the board, Parker. It's the Maverick down, the Ace died first, and now you're in shambles if you're Team Empire.
I'm wondering, did they shoot the cameras? It's still up. That's the question I mean,
let's see here if Dan...
I don't know if it's still up or not.
Oh,
it's still up. Oh my God. It is
game jitters.
Half of the round. What are you doing right now? Shoot out the damn cam, please.
You'd almost... Oh, does he see it?
He's looking at the breach.
Still don't,
he's looking at the breach. Oh my, but it doesn't matter. That early pick from the Soniqs was so strong. Rex able to get another. Yeti's the first one to die for his team. Still an advantage for the Soniqs and about half the round to go.
Yeah, I mean, Soniqs looking solid here. They got 3 toxic babes left. Sure, Rexon's a little bit low on health, but you can now effectively just bunker up on the bomb side. Perhaps try and leverage some more help into the garage side of things, because with the garage wall not being open just yet, you should be very, very comfy and cozy on that catwalk rafters, and that's where Cancel's playing.
It's the next step for Empire right now.
You go master bedroom side. You have to. You can't really take catwalk. You can't really go server breach. Like, I would say 2 guys construction, one guy on that server breach. Try and do a bit of a pincer. You need to find an opening kill to tie it up 3-3.
And that's exactly what they're trying to do. Always now repositioning himself over towards logistics. He's in. He's got the Gemini and joystick there to help, but a swing and a miss onto the soft wall, leaving 40 seconds left for this execute to come out from Empire. They're going to expend some utility in the process, try to flash out, find the magnets. They get swung on, and Grixer picks up kill number 2. A nade with the name of the smoke on it, but Super manages to evade it. 4 now, firing blindly into the wall. Grixer dusted by Always, and the charge is coming in. Empire are managing to pull this one together, but they've got precious little time, leaving just Kansan, and Empire somehow pull this off. Good Lord, what was that round? They were at such a deficit until they weren't, and they pick up their second in a row.
So, opening kill goes on to Cypher on the hotspot of Ace. That's great. Default cam stays up, I believe, the entire round. It probably was never killed because Grixer swung there towards the end. It's a 2 versus 3, essentially. 2 guys from Empire on construction, 1 guy went to the main breach. Then, when they started executing with the flashbangs and the grenades, Grixer made a great play, swung the guy on the breach, leaving just 2 guys from the same door on construction, and somehow they get 3 kills on the entry. Always with the first 2, joystick with the latter 2, and somehow Team Empire picks up a round that should have never been theirs. Incredible stuff. Soniqs didn't really do anything wrong that round in theory. They played it quite smart, they utilized the default camera, they did a run out, they got the man advantage, and then sure, it became a 4 versus 3 instead of a 5 versus 3. It wasn't perfect, but it was still great for them. But somehow, 2 players from Empire can just walk through the same door and win every single gunfight against the smoke, against the toxic babes, against the player cat or holding the walk-in, and you have to question, how do they get away with that? First game jitters.
I mean that's it, right?
It's gotta be.
That's it. Soniqs talked about in the interview that I did with them. I interviewed every single team, by the way, before this event. Every team. I talked and I sat down with them. I didn't talk down to them. They're the experts, not me. I sat down and I talked with them. Maybe we have some of the first game jitters here with the words that I'm using. But I sat down and I talked to the Soniqs, and the one thing that they said was they are very happy to not be playing BDS, and they are excited to go up against Empire to see how their styles clash. Empire equally are excited to take on a top NA team and frankly want to humble them, and I'm not too surprised by that. I mean, Empire have a habit of humbling some of the best teams and have done so times over, many times over.
Empire has always been a very stable team from Europe, representing our region with great efforts, I would say. You know, they both played in the grand finals of Invitationals before. They've won a major of Raleigh, so they have trophies and they have a commendation to show for themselves, or accolades rather. Yeti now doing the same thing Grixis did the first round, kind of hiding in the corner, really testing Empire's droning capabilities. And honestly, if you ask me what one of the strengths of Empire is, it's droning. It's making sure that these things do not go missed. But I think this time around, I think they've played them. I think Yeti has gone unseen so far, and seeing as always is slapping the floor right now with his hammer right next to him. Yeah, they have no idea Yeti's inside this corner. Now, what can Soniqs do? How much damage? That's the block off the board. That's the opening kill for Empire or for Soniqs. But what can they do next?
Soniqs had 2 players posted up by Kitchen as well. There's an insurance policy for Yeti. Yeah. They've left him all on his own, and you know that position. He's now playing to die. But at this point, he has taken the kill that he needed on Dan. Losing the buck on a church take is a huge problem for Empire moving forward. You're not going to be able to tear up that floor quite as easily. You've got a sledge, so Always is still going to be able to step up. But you know that Empire aren't going to be using them in the same way. That's going to force Always into a position that he might not have been in, and because of the way that Sledge's hammer works, he's far more susceptible to a Nitro Cell. Yet he goes for the run out, he gets picked off by Shepard. Nitro Cell goes off, and look at the Scyther's HP, 1 HP. The Nitro Cell misses Dan, or misses Always as well. So Empire finds themselves very lucky this round, and they're looking to try to stitch 3 together.
Certainly, Soniqs actually played that quite well. After Yeti got the opening kill onto Dan, they had Kenton from below holding the walk-in from that kitchen door vertically and had a C4 as well. They did some damage, they got the kill, they traded 1 for 1, but just like the previous basement defense, they wasted so much time. Impact coming out from Grixis, it did not hit the Selma charge, and Ace has more to go, so this hatch should be opened up. But Cypher, with a slither of health, can be killed by just about anything at this point. Joystick somehow has found himself deep inside of blue. Doesn't go for it.
It's creeping up though and trying to take this gunfight, but there's very little time left. The Soniqs are once again trying to wear them down as best as they can, and Rexon is primed and ready to swing on to blue. Grenade's getting tossed in. There goes Shepard. He drops, taking some damage, but he's in the safety of the corner now. Getting the diffuser down. There's no way to stop him. No denial. Grixis swings, misses his shots. Empire's guns have been flawless since that second round, and they will continue to do so. Barring that very first kill from the Soniqs, this has been 3 rounds of misery for them.
That it has, and I mean, in that situation, when Canton used the C4 earlier to almost take down a player from Empire, it didn't happen. If that kill had gone through, that's the ace off the board. They wouldn't be able to breach the hatch and kitchen, but he survived, and now there's no C4 to deny the plant. There was no toxic babes left from Super either, so that just kind of leaves, what is the win condition? Well, sure, you can hit some headshots, but in these particular positions of Team Empire, you don't really have any angles for any favorable gunfights. And Empire, they have been looking so sharp since the second round. They've taken 3 in a row, a flawless, into the second, into the third, and even though Soniqs got the opening kill, they did not get the round.
I mean, look at the Soniqs. Look at the strength that they have. Down, reel them in. You've got your next map being Oregon. That's the map that the Soniqs pick. And you speak to this team. Before the tactical timeout was taken, very first round, Nick. First kill goes to Empire, immediately traded back, equal footing. Second round, first kill goes by Empire, they snowball, it's a flawless round. Not a single kill from the Soniqs. Soniqs has an impeccable start to round 3, but then they collapse under their own weight. And what ends up being a 2v4 for Empire, Empire prevails without losing either of those 2 players. And then again, back in round 4, Soniqs. takes the very first kill, but Empire manages to squeeze it out and kills every single player of Soniqs after that. So what do you do? What do you say to SQ if you're the coach in this situation?
I mean, you look at it, right? It's kind of like your conversion rate. You get the opening kill, you actually get good early game and mid-game aggression, you get some success, and both of the previous rounds, Empire were so low on time, but then again, they just find the kills, so if anything, to keep the early game the same, the early aggression, the extension, the roam, we see it from Grixon right now, see it from Yeti, they're doing a CC defense, but they're up over on Master side, making sure that, you know, joystick won't just creep in like previously, and then you just gotta figure out your mid and late round. Don't let people just walk in the door and get 3 kills with nobody shooting back. You need to be shooting back these rounds.
You a fan of Michael Jordan, by any chance?
Why are you asking, Parker?
Michael Jordan had something called the flu game.
The flu game?
The flu game, where when he had the flu, he would perform better. Well, Always is currently 7-0. Is Always the Russian Michael Jordan? We don't know. We'll see. By the way, Empire is accomplishing all of this with Dan still not getting a single kill yet. And I mean, Empire have enough depth where you see Joystick on 6 kills, you see Always on 7 kills. These two have been remarkable from the midpoint onwards. Both Always and Joystick's kills are coming in the final 30 to 40 seconds, which is exceptional for Empire, and it shows how good they are in the clutch. But if Dan starts to wake up and starts applying that pressure early on, because Dan doesn't play a meat shield role here on this map, so if you can get Dan into the action, this is going to get much tougher for the Soniqs.
Dan is almost like a, I almost want to say like a third support or a second semi-support, where it's all about making sure that the Maverick, once the Maverick wall gets made, this impact is great by the way, that should get the angle on, maybe. No. Gets traded back by Always, of course, so again, the footing has now been neutralized back to a 4 versus 4. Empire doing a great job at stopping the bleeding before it becomes fatal.
Round number 1, it was the very first kill from Empire, traded back by Soniqs. Now we see the same thing happening. There is no definitive first blood on this round, so no team is going to gain a sizable advantage. You lose Joystick as your Yana, that might be bad, but keep in mind that the Church take the very first time when they lost Joystick, that was the only round that the Soniqs won. So if you can see a repeat, I know it's a different bomb site, but if you take Joystick out early on, and then you can kind of play around that lack of intel, Empire might flounder, and the Soniqs are in a better position to pick up their second round of the match.
I mean, Empire's in a great position. They got a minute to work with. They have Selma charges. They have the Maverick on the board. I believe he still has grenades left. Yeah, 2 grenades on Shepard, 1 grenade on Always. So they are in a fantastic position. Now, same thing as the first round. 1 guy has to go Silver Breach. After that, at least 2 guys have to stay inside construction, and the issue can come through.
Where are they putting Dan right now? We just saw Dan rappel off of the roof, and he's going to try to clear out Garage, but the Soniqs with 30 seconds left repositioned the Jaeger of Rexinen to support Kansan playing on rafters. So now the Soniqs have doubled up on players in Garage, and Dan could get something off of this if there's nobody watching. And there you go, Dan waltzes right in, a single kill, another one could be lined up, but he's going to look the wrong way onto the stairs. The Soniqs hitting their marks for the first time in 3 rounds, but sprayed through the wall, down goes Super, common position. And that's it, the Soniqs will clean up on the final 2 kills. Excellent form from them, they read the push by Empire, and again, that lack of intel from the Yana. Both rounds the Soniqs have won have come off of Joystick getting picked early, and it just goes to show you how pivotal a player he is, but how important that operator is too for their overall strategy.
Yeah, you mentioned the second player inside our garage from Soniqs. That was pivotal that round, right? The first player got taken out on the catwalk. Rexton was down below in lounge, got the refrag, and kind of equal back the ground. I liked what Empire was doing to send 1 player of Always onto the server breach. Dan went garage door, and then they had 2 players inside connector. They basically make sure they have pressure from all angles and that they can eliminate the catwalk player, allowing the construction players to actually walk into the door without getting contested, only having to worry about the top red player of Super. Ultimately, we all saw what happened. Soniqs got the round regardless because they kind of, I don't know if they read it necessarily, but they played smartly into it, having 2 players inside that garage area. They shut it down, they got the round, and now if they can make it 3-3, they can be very happy with this first half.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something where I honestly think that there's bright spots for both of these teams. Certainly. I think both teams can look at the second half of Clubhouse and be happy with the way some things went. Obviously, the Soniqs at the moment will look back on rounds 2 and 3 as heartbreaking rounds.
Yeah.
Number 1, because in round 2, you had multiple opportunities, you squandered them, you ended up getting flawlessly destroyed. The third round, you had a perfect opportunity and you choked it at the final second, and you allowed Empire to waltz right in and just bully you, and teams cannot allow Empire to do that. As as we start the final round for Soniqs' defense. And we'll switch sides after this. It's another early contest with Grixer and Dan going at it. An exchange of words. Dan's the one who walks away a little worse for wear, but he's wearing it well. Just a little bit above 50% of his HP. Grixer's going to hang out inside a stock, but he's got an avenue back to the bomb site if he wants, since he's opened up that stock hatch. Again, on this bottom floor defense for the Soniqs, they're going to invest quite heavily in the offsite presence.
I really do love this from the Soniqs. The constant early aggression, making sure that Empire has to stay on their toes. And you almost see it like multiple rounds in a row where Empire, they kind of let it go a few times. Dan didn't die this time around, but he took some unnecessary damage, and that could have been a kill on his end if that was a worst case for him. Soniqs standing up above. Again, their goal is just to waste time. I don't think they're expecting anything crazy. I don't expect them to stick around either. Once the walls get breached and once this entry gets taken, you know, Empire barely joining this. Joystick is just checking corners himself. They are well aware that Soniqs are just messing with them and trying to burn time, and that's exactly what they're doing. Yeti, though, doing some snaking, some ratting, waiting around, seeing if anybody will join him out. If they don't, that could be huge.
Well, they didn't on the previous church defense in round number 4. They left Yeti unseen inside a kitchen. He picked off Dan on the buck, if you recall.
Rexen as well denies the drone as well. It's beautiful.
This is exactly what happened last time. Rexen was there to support Yeti, but Yeti was not spotted. Now, Joystick is going to take matters into his own hands. They know he's inside a bar. Is Yeti going to strike? Because Yeti is still there. He takes down Always. That's one of the best players on Empire.
Yep, that's the nades off the board and the hammer. So now again, the continuity of that is there, but Yeti finds a second onto Joystick. Reloading. Cypher with the refag eventually, but that is such big damage from Yeti.
And that's 4 rounds in a row now where the Soniqs have technically gotten the very first kill, though sometimes it's been answered back immediately by Empire. Empire will look to bulldoze into the bomb site. Final minute to go. Soniqs have a prime opportunity to tie up this first half. Keep it close on Empire's map, even if it does tend to be a more defender-sided map. The Soniqs at least get 3 rounds out of it. All they have to do is hold tight for the final 45 seconds.
This is kind of like the redemption, right? Soniqs, they had this very similar situation previously. Now they have to show that they can actually win it out. What do they have for the plan tonight right now? 1 C4 from Kansen and 3 toxic base from Super. Statistically, Soniqs are in the driver's seat this round. They should have it in the bag, but it's easier said than done.
Creep up now with Shepard being very close to this church wall and quiet as a mouse as he starts to open up a small line towards the ankles of these Soniqs players. Nice shot from Rexen. It looked like he might be outfoxed by Dan, but nothing could be done from Empire. The numbers continue to favor Soniqs, and what is characteristic of Empire has suddenly fallen apart. Desperation from Shepard, but he gets swung on by Super, Mr. 1.6 himself. That's the first half in the bag, Nick. Both teams walking away dead even, 3 rounds apiece.
Yep, I think you already said it yourself. Both teams can be kind of happy with it and sad. There was moments of victory and there were moments of defeat from both teams, but ultimately a 3-3 tie is a great way to change the roles around, and now we're seeing Soniqs on the attacking side. And remember, they're the ones that banned out the Hibana, so you are safe to assume that they've been practicing with this in mind. Grixer actually showing the Ying. You guys have a replay right now on your screen, but Grixer showing the Ying on the pig face, hasn't 6'd off it yet, and I might wonder if he will. He will. A Jackal.
A Jackal.
It'll be a roam clear situation. You can almost argue that, I mean, this is just great. Look at this. Cypher goes from Aruni onto Vigil. We go Grixer from Ying onto the Jackal. It's beautiful. Empire says we roam. Empire says they roam. Sonic says we'll roam clear. We'll match it.
Something for the Soniqs to keep note of. There are 3 hard breachers in play as well to tackle this bottom floor defense of Empire. Thermite, Ace, and a Maverick all being brought. Now, the Maverick on Yeti is quite standard. You usually have both Yeti and Super running the double hard breach on a map like Clubhouse, but Rexen playing on this Ace is not something we see all of the time. Running 3 hard breachers on Clubhouse provides you a little bit better insurance policy should one of them get picked off early, and with Hibana being banned out, it means that every hard breach is being brought, other than that hard breach secondary gadget, which can be trotted out by a couple different operators, one of which tends to be played quite often by Soniqs on another map that we might see later today, which is Coastline, our 3rd map, which is Lion. He can bring that can opener gadget as well.
We love a good Lion game. I wonder how much Lion will see this tournament. I know a few teams have started bringing him more, especially APAC, but we'll get to see that later as today and tomorrow, and the days progress as we continue into the bracket. It is day 1. It is the very first game on the B stream, and we got a bit of a a tied-up match here. Again, 3-3, first attacking round for Soniqs. They're gonna do a similar fashion where Empire extends up above, they're roaming, they wanna burn time. Exactly same situation where Soniqs will bring the Maverick over, they'll make the wall soft, then they'll breach the soft wall, and then they'll initiate the roam clear. Empire will do a similar thing as well, where they'll be extending out, holding aggressively, and trying to make sure that Soniqs has to be on their toes because of jump outs, run outs, and contesting.
Speaking of runouts, getting the attention of Rexen was Joystick, opening up the doorway from Garage. A runout is definitely doable. I have a feeling that the Soniqs, having watched Empire go an entire round without shooting that default cam, are probably not going to make that same mistake themselves. So I would suspect that there's very limited intel on the outside portion of the map, given that that default cam is down and Valkyrie is banned. So if Joystick is going to play off of this, well, he may want to do it a little bit quickly. There's also a pre-placed C4 in play right now. Scyther gets the very first kill onto Rexen, and they will immediately head for the hills, back downstairs. So, oh my. That roam working out very effectively, and this is what I said about bringing insurance policies.
Yep.
Rexen is down. There is no ace available, but because the Soniqs have both a Thermite and a Maverick, they are not in dire straits just yet.
It's a very good point. It's the same thing with Empire bringing both the Sledge and the Buck, whereas we just see Sonic bringing the Buck. So the Buck goes down, vertical play is very dire. I really wouldn't say that the Jackal's secondary shotgun will kind of like substitute that. I really wouldn't, but some people might argue that case. So yeah, contingencies, they got triple hard breach. There's 2 left on the board. Rexen will sit on drones and make sure that they don't get flanked. Although it is Clubhouse, the flanks are not like a huge thing, but of course you want to make sure that if you're not going to have a player inside of blue, which Empire did every single round, at least have a drone there so that if anybody goes to the flank, you will be aware of it. Last minute of the round now from the Soniqs. They're clearly favoring Kitchen here with some vertical. They have a couple of options here in front of them, but it will be a little bit limited. If they want to go for Church, they'll need Yeti's Torch to open up and clear the jammer to then firm at the wall. I would say Kitchen Hatch is your best bet, but it's really, really dire when you got only 30 seconds left here. 1 C4 from Always, 3 Toxic Base on Shepherd.
That's really all you can do at this moment. So Empire do have some stall potential out. There's no Evil Eye cams to tase them, and there's no information that's going to come from that. But hey, Yeti's just walking right in. Yeti's in. Hello. Dan says, okay, I'll take matters into my own hands. Down he goes. And now Yeti is also, now that Yeti's gone, Dan is going to look over towards Dirt Tunnel. Grixer still patrolling that hatch. Out goes one of the smokes, but look at that crossfire potential. These are all just freebies to pad the stats. Do it for Siege GG, Grixer. 6 and 5, but you go on drones with 2 seconds left. What are you doing? You're just wasting time.
Make sure he's not getting flanked in the 1 versus. I mean, come on.
I mean, you gotta get your kills. You gotta get your kills, right? You gotta do it. That's how you gotta do it. So Empire take their very first defense in a bit of a debilitating start for the Soniqs, right? They lose Rexen early. You lose your ace early on. That means more work for your 2 hard breachers. Not all hope is lost because Soniqs do have those backup hard breachers to pull this off. But I can guarantee you right now, Joe, Bro, and Super are not counting on Rexen dying. They have a strategy set up where all 3 of those hard breachers are still in play. Is it just to get open that CCTV panel that we saw upstairs? Potentially. As Rexen was posted up in that position, watching the run out towards Garage for a while. But still, one operator getting knocked out could mean the whole round. It could snowball. It could end up meaning the whole game because now you've given Team Empire the upper hand. There's only 1 timeout per match, or per map rather.
Yeah.
Soniqs have already taken their timeout. So they are not able to settle down and slow Empire down, and it's very unlikely that Empire is going to use their timeout to stop their own momentum.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Why would you do that? That's ridiculous.
They want to keep it up. They want to keep the momentum going. Flowing,
exactly.
And getting all the dubs. Frost being brought up. We hate Frost. At least I do. Maybe that's me being biased as a former player, but there is nothing worse than thinking, you know what, side's free, jump in the middle, Frost, I'm dead. And then
well, you're not dead, you're downed.
Well, the thing is,
as a former player, you should know
okay,
that.
I will tell you something, Parker. When you are injured in professional play, you are 9.9 out of 10.0 times dead. Injured means dead because nobody can come to revive you, and if you jump into sight, I mean, you're in the Dragon's den.
I'm sorry, there was 2 downed players from Empire, Nick, and they didn't get finished off.
That's because they shot the other bad guys first.
9 out of 10.
Yeah, that was the point 1.
Doesn't seem.
That was the point 1. Miracles happen. We've seen it. We've seen crazy.
You've seen the future. You've seen all the potential outcomes, and there's only one where they live, and that was the one that happened.
It is certainly, and it was a great round from Empire that won a round. It was flawless, but previous round was not flawless by either team. We are now gonna start breaching the walls. Shepherd actually bringing the Bandit, which seems kind of crazy at first because with the Maverick being open, the Bandit seems kind of redundant. And I mean, especially here, they don't even need the Maverick because Bandit's roaming. There was no pre-placed mute jammer, so, or at least if there was, it was shot. And there isn't really any way for Bandit to trick the wall. There is no castle being brought. There is no clash being brought. But yeah, those things happen. You know, you can't always sit at the right time, at the right place. Sometimes you want to run around and stretch your legs a bit. And this time around, well, Soniqs, they favored from that.
As we come to expect on a map like Clubhouse, this cache and CCTV portion of the map has been used in almost every single defense thus far. Through these 8 rounds of action, they have been a very common spot for teams to entry off of. And the Soniqs have opened it up quite well. Unbeknownst to them, unless they've droned them out, are 2 players from Soniqs in that same position. Ooh, nice toss from Yeti, and he reads them like a book. Dan's been having a bit of a rough game. He's sitting on 2 and 6 on oftentimes pivotal frag-oriented operators, but he's been having a rough start. Good for him. Both Always and Joystick have combined for 16 kills. And Scyther's now up there as well with 7. So Empire still hitting their marks, but now they will trail. And the Soniqs, despite having a slow start, have now been doing significantly better at getting these opening picks and giving their team some extra breathing room.
Yeah, I mean, Soniqs have a ton of opening kills, more so than Empire, but the thing is, their conversion rate into success isn't that high. So I want to see them now tie it up a bit and use this last minute to be efficient. And, I mean, efficiency is right here. Smokes comes out. We're going to be walking through. Frost traps on the ground. Do anybody get hit? Nobody gets hit.
Always in trouble. The nade just dances around him. Gunfire onto his shoulder, but he evades it. Joystick the first kill for Empire now. Tied up. Super's planting. He gets the plant off quite successfully. Chaos ensues inside of the bomb site. Nobody seems to know that Super's been able to get that diffuser down. Rexon doing his best on Overwatch. Down goes Shepard, and the diffuser still in his sight over by the weight room. It's Scyther on the window taking down one player from Soniqs, and Rexon not really looking where he needs to be. And next up is Grixer, who fires away. Scyther somehow nades himself. I don't know what he was intending there. A swing onto the breach from Joystick does not work out. Super gets the diffuser down and the kill to boot. Always his next one up. He wanders over to CCTV, but Grixer is ready for it. And we're tied again at 4 rounds apiece.
LMG goes brrr. You have so many bullets and you never really need to reload. I do question a little bit what happened there. I think Rexon thought Grixer had the CC window swing, but he didn't, so Rexon got swung from the window. Then Grixer got the refrag afterwards, but I mean, ultimately it didn't really matter. But I do think there was a bit of a hiccup there between the communication of the 2 players. Soniqs got the opening kill, and then out of nowhere, kind of said, you know what, the pace right now isn't really for us to plan, but if we're going to be doing something crazy that's not really predictable, maybe Empire won't realize. And honestly, it didn't seem like Empire had any idea that Soniqs was just planning in the middle of the round. They had a whole minute left to work with. Just holding after planning. Smoke grenades on Thermite is so great. Perhaps you can argue that's why Super's bringing it. Yes, you get the triple hot breach. Yes, you get the contingency. But the smoke grenades themselves to cover, especially for those lines of sight when you're on a plant, are huge value.
Empire seem to be disproportionately hurt by poor intel. I don't know if you've been noticing that as well, but every single round that Empire has really floundered, and I would consider that last round floundering, it has been because Empire either have chaotic comms, or they lose a very crucial part of their strategy, which is reliant on them having information that they no longer have access to. On attack, it was losing Joystick twice as Yana. On defense, it was being bamboozled and having a multi-step process unfold in front of their eyes. The Soniqs pushing from logistics, pushing from construction, pushing from weight room window, and then Super coming into weight room and getting the plant down. It was a nice play by the Soniqs and read very well. Empire did not have any information. They're going to go towards a more commonly played bomb site, as we saw with the rotation from the Soniqs. When they played on different bomb sites, they went church, gym, and cache. Empire are rolling out that same process. Church, gym, and cache. And you said that's because of the Maverick in play, means that they can't readily defend that CCTV wall the way that they want to. Well, already there's going to be a focus from Soniqs to take logistics and to take construction.
Yeah, it's likely going to be a split take where you take the server breach, which they've gotten so quickly once again, and then now there's a choice. Do you go master bedroom construction, or do you work the catwalk rafters by taking first floor garage? Information! You spoke about it, Parker. This time around, both Joystick and Dan has brought a bulletproof camera each. So I do agree with you, and I think so does Team Empire. They want more information. They want to have an idea of what's happening so they can make decisions around it. Grixer almost gets taken down, but those adrenaline surges will bring him a little bit up as this round progresses. It's not all bad.
They've opened up the wall already. As we said, their focus was split over on both sides of this bomb site. Again, that triple hard breach coming in as an adrenal surge goes off.
That's a garage take right there. They change it. Garage fast. Boom.
Takes Always, and you see it. You see it yourself. Rexon immediately opens up that door, and there is an opening down below in Lounge, watching the moto wall where Joystick is playing off of by the bikes, but he's going to be looking, and he's really the last line of defense for the Sonics. If they want to just bulldoze in, it's Joystick, and that's it. If you can pick off Joystick, the Sonics have that full garage control and continue to pivot up top towards CCTV.
Yeah, this is like a 3-step process. Server Breach is number 1, Garage is number 2, so if they get a hold of Garage here, which again, Joystick is the only defender of it, that is a great thing for Team Sonics and a terrible thing for Team Empire. And I do believe that Grixer's going to go down below in stock and make sure they can try and pincer or make a pincer movement on Joystick and ensure that Garage will be cleanly taken from them. And Joystick goes up above, they surrender with a minute left, and now Sonics are in the driver's seat. They can breach the walls and they can set up the execute.
Rexon's up top, but he's continuing his march down on Catwalk towards that small opening that we see next to the reinforcement. He'll open up a greater vantage point into the panel and now drone himself in. Super again with the diffuser in hand, looking to convert. He was good on the previous round. Coverage from Sonic so far is mighty fine. Dan drops down as Joystick is removed from the equation and the timer will start to go. A flawless round for the Sonics is within their grasps. They only got to find Scyther, who's going to run head-to-head against Grixer, but somehow walks away with the fight. Well done with that SMG-11 in hand. Marching back up the stairs on red. 4 more bodies from the Sonics to find in the diffuser. 25 seconds. Doesn't matter what amount of time is left because there's way too many people from the Sonics. The Sonics, very commonly asked question I think of every single caster is, who's your favorite team? Who are you rooting for? I couldn't give a damn. I'm going to say right now, there are storylines that I root for. If I think that the storyline is particularly compelling, sometimes it's about dominance. There were occasions where I cheered for your team because you were so dominant.
Honored.
I cheered against you more often than not because I thought that the better storyline was seeing your team lose its crown and get humbled. But there were times where watching your team succeed and destroy everybody was, I think, the better storyline for the future. In this particular instance, I don't care who wins. There's no real better storyline here. Empire are looking to avenge a very disappointing result in Sweden. They're looking to avenge a heartbreaking loss in Mexico where they lost in the finals to Team 1, whereas the Sonics are now trying to prove to everybody that making Mexico, making Sweden, and getting grouped wasn't a fluke. They deserve to be there. They deserve to be the NA League champs. And right now, Sonics are actually beating my expectations here on Clubhouse. But I want to once again bring up that stat. This is the most played map by the Sonics in the last 3 months. And even though they don't have the best results on it, it's an 8-7 victory. An 8-7 victory was at a 7-5 loss and a 7-2 loss. That this is still a comfortable map for the Sonics, and they are playing very well today.
I like the captain from Dan. It's one of those situations where, you know, he hasn't had the most success with gun skill or gunplay this round. He's been taken out very unfortunately. And now he's gadgeting how to bring that. Oh, but the injury from Grixer sneaks in stock door, takes out Joystick, who loves playing on those blue stairs. And this is a great opening for Team Sonics. Joystick is one of the most proficient roamers who actually moves a ton around the map with confidence. And now that he's off the board, it just leaves Dan inside a bar. And with Dan being a 2-7 scoreline with the Capcan traps now taken on because the gunfight isn't happening, yeah, he's back on side now, a little bit scared.
Just in case anybody's curious, as we are now in round number 10, things have officially begun because somebody is dead, and I think that's how it works. A round doesn't actually begin until somebody dies. Am I correct?
Yes, sure.
Thank you very much. I'm pretty sure that's just science.
Fact.
Empire have 3 first picks of the 10 rounds, 7 in favor of the Sonics. And, well, the Sonics are in prime position to take this first pick here in round number 10 and continue to push forward. That was a bit of desperation from Empire. They knew they were down a body. They needed to try to regain some map control. They swing through Garage. It does not work out for them.
The only thing I'm wondering about is that the second Joystick got taken down, you see Dan run straight back to the bomb side, but then you see Cypher staying, you know, overly aggressively, with confidence even, until the very last moment where it's a bit of panic. Why didn't they stay together? Why didn't they fall back together? You can't really play that middle ground of, hey, I'm gonna stay, I'm gonna fall back, because then one guy's completely alone and isolated, and he will die eventually.
I like that Grixer's been playing their flex, by the way. They've been putting him on whatever role he wants to. This is statistically one of the best players in all of the world. Wow. He was in competition with Hot and Cold for MVP of this most previous year of the North American League, and for a number of stages, he was actually the best player in North America. An answer back comes a little bit belated with 50 seconds left to go on the clock. The very first kill from Empire comes out. It's on a direct engagement. It's a nitro cell that blows up at the feet of Kansan, so the buck is removed from action. Still 3 hard breachers available for the Sonics. With the time remaining, it's 35 seconds. They're going to have some work to do to figure out where they want to go to try and get this diffuser planted. The Sonics have been able to get the diffuser down twice in the most recent rounds, and, well, they're going to want to try for a third time. Super taking about half of his HP away. Rexen also damaged. Does not bode well for this team with Capcan Trap still up, a Nitro Cell still up, and a Toxic Babe in the hands of Shepard. But Super walks in, he outguns Dan, looking the wrong way as Shepard and the Soniqs sure seem like they have match point. 4 seconds remaining for Super to get that diffuser down with both Yeti and Grixer to watch over top. Always tries to rotate through blue, but he gets shut down, and it's indeed match point for the Soniqs.
Wow. Conversion rate. They're now getting opening kills, and not just that, they're turning those opening kills into round victories as well. I was a bit concerned for Soniqs. The time was really slipping away. 14 seconds, Toxic Bait came out. They didn't really have any openings. It got into an entry point position for them. They found 2 of the 3 kills that they needed, and then again, Super doing super things, planting the diffuser, and then the cover's there. The last kill gets found, round goes in their favor, and yeah, Grixer on 12 kills, matching Always on the 12 kills as well. Always was kind of on fire on the attacking side, and now he's kind of slowed down a little bit more. I believe 2 of his kills were also like exit kills in those like 1v3 situations, so the 12 kills, well, technically, you never really have the true amount of kills that you see, because sometimes you'll be in a 1v5, you'll get 2 or 3 kills, but they don't really have a huge amount of impact, so impact kills are important. And, you know, the very first round, when Soniqs were in the basement defense, Super didn't even get a kill. He got an injure, but that injure stopped them from planting at the very last second or 2, and that essentially got them the round. So, impact kills, or injures, and, well, little to no impact kills.
Of course, it is hard to separate the word impact from an impact grenade, but impact isn't like impactfulness on the round. Sometimes, like Grixer, for example, getting that pick on the very first attempt that the Soniqs had back in round number 7, Grixer got a kill. It's 1 of his 12 kills, but it was totally impactless. You can have 3 rounds in a row where you are in a 1v5 and you kill 4 people. 12 kills total, and they can be completely impactless.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can pad your stats. You could be 12-3. But guess what? Those 12 kills mean absolutely nothing. So it's important for us to make note of that, because Dan, for example, only has 2 kills, but those both could be round-winning clutch kills, and those 2 kills could be hugely impactful. Just something for the influx of new viewers that we tend to get during the 6 Invitational to talk to you about how not all kills are equal.
Yeah, numbers are important, they really are, but the context to support those numbers, I would say, are even more so important, because a lot of times you can just look and be like, oh, numbers are simple, well, that's a low number, that's bad. High number, good. But it's not just like that ever. So, especially when we speak about support players, I mean, Super right now is 4-6. He's planted multiple times, doing good drone work, doing IGLing and leadership. So while only, and I say only with my fingers crossed, or doing the thing, the rabbit ears, he only has 4 kills, but his value is tremendous. So keep that in note, especially when it comes to support players.
I will also say that Super being 4-6 is actually significantly better than he usually is. It is not uncommon, even if he has 3 plants down, it is not uncommon for the Soniqs to win a match with Super going 3-8 or 3-9 or 2-10. So the fact that he is keeping up with 4 kills to his name is tremendous, and everybody's criticism of the Soniqs stems from Super's inability to get kills. Nobody doubts his IGLing abilities, nobody doubts his vision.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Nobody doubts the vision, by the way, of Scyther, who goes for 1 and then immediately gets traded off, so he takes out Rexen but gets re-dueled by Grixer, and Grixer's the one who ends up winning that. He's very wary of what could be, but Kanzan is over inside of Cash, making a name for himself, and down another member of Empire goes. Joystick will be no more. This is an advantage for the Soniqs, but immediately evened out. Always fires back onto Yeti, a 3v3. These teams going back and forth with just a little bit less than a minute. The match is on the line for Empire right now. This is their map, and they don't want to let the Soniqs stay in this round for as long as they can over the next 40 seconds.
Certainly. I think the eyes right now are kind of on Dan because he's inside of office. It's a very important position in this round. It kind of glues the entire bomb site together, and Dan has had a bit of a rough game so far. Same with Shepard, and now there are 2 of the 3 people remaining, together with Always the top frag of the team. They all need to show up to get this round in the bag.
25 seconds seconds left in a 3v3, a stalemate right now. The clock continues to tick away, but Dan presents himself and Kansan greets him with open arms. The C8 does what does best. Adrenal Surge is still going. Super will need to walk in. Does he have clearance? Shepard hiding inside of the bathroom. A Nitro Cell goes down, and there goes Super. Grixer follows. Kansan will need to take this engagement, but with 6 seconds left, he doesn't know where to go. Diffuser in, and Always is down below, but does Empire have any information? 14 kills to his name. He will ascend up the stairs. It depends on who has the sharper set of ears right now, and they both know where they are. Kansan has the better shot and the better ears, and the Soniqs have the better map. They take Empire's Clubhouse 7-4.
They steal it, Parker. It wasn't just taking it. They